Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. You know, I've been getting on Laura for a hot minute, and every time that I see her on screen, she constantly reminds me of why I call her an idiot. So she's with Jordan, and she's getting slammed by the press for practically wanting to get a psychopath, released from jail. Now she's all upset about it because she's like, where did the leak come from? Laura, that shouldn't be your biggest concern, besides the fact that you shouldn't be mayor anymore, is about the victims, about the survivors. That should be your biggest concern, not the fact that it got leaked. Who cares at this point? Because let's be honest, she keeps trying to dress it in a way where it's like, no, I don't want her to go free, but I do think that her case needs to be reopened. But then, like, what happens when their case is reopened and then she goes free? Now, Curtis is not there talking to Portia, and, Portia's pissed. And Curtis is like, you know what, let me sit there and talk to her because something's not right. This don't seem like the type of woman that I went to Greenland with, I fought side by side with somebody who's my friend. This doesn't seem right. Now, of course, Jordan is looking at this whole thing, and, Laura's like, I get it. You can sit there and tell me I told you so. Because Jordan did sit there and tell her, hey, listen, when this comes out, the media is going to practically eat you alive. And Jordan's like, listen, you need to sit there and put out a statement. They're saying that you're not advocating for this woman to go back out and terrorize a bunch of people. So you need to sit there and put something out. And Curtis comes in. Curtis, I know people have issues with Curtis, and I'm not a huge fan of him either. But Curtis is probably the most realist one in this whole episode. Because, you know, he's not there looking at her and he asks her, hey, listen, how would you feel if it was your daughter or one of your children being terrorized by this woman and somebody wanted to sit there and advocate for her? How would you feel? She's like, well, I understand where you're coming from. No, you don't, because you didn't answer the question. You didn't answer the question. Well, to be honest, she's a politician, so that's literally what she wound up doing. And, Kurt's like, what about survivors like Ava and people like Ryan, Officer Cabrera, whatever his name is? What about those people? What about Trina? You're practically sitting there saying, like, what are you doing? This is literally a spit in her face. And he asked what I pretty much just said. What happens because she was like, well, she deserves to have her case reopened. So he's like, okay. So what happens when that happens and she gets released? Well, that's up for the courts to decide. I don't understand this. Like, she comes across like she's so not self-aware of how this looks and how this looks to everyone else. And by the way, Portia's pissed. And Curtis is like, this is wrong. This is foul. And we're going to sit there and fight this. So while that's going on, you got Liz and Chase, right? And this conversation wasn't really too entertaining or really too interesting, except for to a point where it got with Finn. And, Finn was like, and Liz was like, I just don't understand. I was there trying to do something right for him. I was just trying to help. And, I was just there looking out for Violet. And I'm just like, you really don't get it, do you? You really don't get it, do you? Like, she's acting so clueless as to why he was acting the way he was acting. And Chase is like, listen, our dad just died. Maybe you should sit there and give him a little grace and a little understanding. She had this puzzled look on her face like, ah. And I'm just like, Liz, how many times in your life have you acted out for various reasons? A lot. But yet you're going to sit there and start trying to judge him, even though he explained it, even though she said, yeah, he explained it to me, she still had that judgmental tone when she was talking about him. Like she didn't understand. Sometimes the writing for the show could just be absolutely bonkers and just completely messed up. And it makes the characters come across like they're just stupid. Like Laura. Okay, so Sonny and Jason. Sonny comes over, that I pretty much squashed the beef with Dax, and I'm pretty much going to do the same thing with you. Um, just sell me back to business, and we'll just go our separate ways. And Jason's like, no, I can't do that. Besides, I'm trying to help you. This is one of Sonny's apparently very few, like, legit businesses that he hasn't really been taking care of. He's like, this is the only thing that's pretty much kind of stopping you from RICO charges. Remember RICO charges, right? Because, you can go to jail for that. But Sonny is still on his meds, and I feel like it's important you sit there and say that because he's not making the best decisions, and this is exactly what Jason's saying is that you're being really sloppy, you're threatening people. I disappear, Dex disappears. It's going to be a wrap, like for you. You're going to jail for a very long time. But Sonny is paranoid, and at this point he's paranoid, he's hostile, and he's like, you know what? Don't say I didn't try to warn you. So he leaves and he goes to the Metro Court. Meanwhile, there's a guy with a gun that's not there waiting to shoot him. Now, John did sit there and say, hey, listen, we're going to use you as bait for Pikeman to come. Pikeman is here. They take a shot at Jason. There's actually two of them now. And they're going back and forth with Jason. Meanwhile, Sonny practically almost blitzed past Carly. And Smith, they're telling them, listen, I talked to Jason and I pretty much dealt with him. And practically told her, like, if he gets in my way, it's a wrap. Now, seeing how the shootout is happening, anything that winds up happening to Jason, Carly's going to be gunning for his ass. Carly was talking to Molly, and I guess I don't really understand why she needed to ask Carly the same information that she got from Blaze. I don't get that at all. I understand the fact that they gotta rehash certain things because in case a new person comes in, they want to know what's going on, and that's practically what wound up happening. And she pretty much wanted, she wasn't gonna say much, but Molly used the mom cards, and they're saying, well, Christina is, my sister, and she's carrying my baby, and as a mom, I have a right to know, blah 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 blah. So she gives her all the details and everything. So that was kind of annoying to sit through. Now, John comes to pick up Mr. Brennan, but Portia stops him by saying that he's not fully healed and he can't leave, he can't leave General Hospital. Despite what argument that John is saying, she pretty much kind of puts her foot down. It's like, it ain't happening, not on my watch. So John, interrogates him, even brings out, like, maybe you and Anna are working together. And I'm just like, I mean, he doesn't, I guess they might know each other. Maybe. It was before I started watching it. But I just don't understand how he's really jumped to that conclusion. Well, I guess, never mind. Anna has been a double agent in the past, so I guess it's not really that far-fetched. He doesn't really get anything from him. So, like, the conversation doesn't really go anywhere. Molly Molly talks to TJ, and TJ's like, "Where's Christina?" She's pretty much ghost us. I want to know what's going on. As the parents, we have the right to know what's going on. Blah 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 blah. And Molly pretty much kind of just dodges around his questions until Portia comes, and Portia pretty much wants to make sure that Molly's doing her job. When it comes to his Heather, because she's like, I don't want this chick getting released. I don't know what the hell Laura Smith is thinking. She clearly don't give a damn about the victims, how they feel. Um, even here's the thing. Even if we're gonna play devil's advocate and try to see it from Laura's point of view, one of the things Laura was saying was maybe those killings it wasn't done because of her. It was done because of the metal poison. The problem is, it doesn't matter. Like, you're pretty much advocating for this woman to sit there and be set free because all that stuff that wound up happening. And I understand that she's trying to be fair. I do. I get that. But I'm like, what if this chick decides to just snap and kill someone? And that's going to be on her. And in our reality, again, I feel like it's just disrespectful to so many people. I understand about, trying to see things from both sides because I always do that. But there's certain cases where you can look at both sides and realize that it's just very cut and dry. And with Laura, I just don't get it. Anyway, I feel like for the most part, that's the general. That's the general in general what wound up happening with the episode. I can drag Laura a little bit more, but I think everyone kind of gets the gist of it, especially with Liz as well. But we'll get more into it tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Um, we'll talk about all the shows: General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Born the Beautiful, Young and Restless, and I'll see you in the next video.